Hey guys, today we have a special episode with Kris Girrell and Yuka Nakasone. We will speak about life vision, life goal, why it's important and how to set it. I would like to introduce Kris. He has huge experience with executive leadership coaching, and he's working across multiple cultures, and he has more than 35 years of experience, especially in the area of emotional intelligence. Hi, Kris. Welcome to the show.
Good day. How are you?
Good, good. I'm glad to have you here. And also Yuka. She is a globalization professional for more than 25 years. And she's also helping people coaching and mentoring. So welcome to the show as well.
Hi, thank you for inviting.
Okay, good. So Kris, let's start with you. You told me that you just came back from a transformational weekend and you talk a lot with people about their life vision. So my first question is, why do you think it's important to set a life goal?
Well, there's two reasons. One is, without any goal, without any North Star to guide you, you just one ends up just going with whatever shows up. There's no control, there's no direction, and you get tossed about, like a little dinghy on the ocean, without any sail or rudder. And so it's really, helps you set that. But I think the more important part of having a goal is that it focuses the way that you want to be. We often talk in training about the difference between, most people think that if I had money, I'd be able to do the things that I want and then I'd be happy.
Mhm.
Instead, what we always coach people on is if you start from being happy, you'll be doing the things that make you happy. You'll start doing more things in that area and you'll end up having the money. It will follow, and so the beingness comes from knowing where we want to be. Not it's more about the journey towards the goal than it is about the goal.
Definitely, I agree. But sometimes maybe your clients are very similar, but sometimes they come and we start talking about life vision. And I ask them, okay, where you want to be in 5 years? And they answer, I don't know.
Right.
Do you have some additional questions that you ask them?
Well, if you take that to a business level, we used to talk an awful lot about strategic planning being a 5-year, 10-year vision for the company. And now companies think that strategy is 13 weeks, a quarter, that strategic planning is, what are our business goals for this quarter, next quarter, and for the fiscal year. And that's horribly transactional. It roots the whole function of the business and of the executive team in what do we need to do today based on what's in front of us today. And while I totally get being present to the moment, that's not being present to the moment. That's being reactional, transactional. And it's critically important for companies and for individuals within the companies to know where they're trying to get to, so that tells them what to do today, as opposed to what's coming at them in the moment, which they have to react to. So there's a difference between being reactive and being what I would call responsible. If responsible is knowing where I want to get, instead of reacting to what's coming to me, I respond according to my goal. Like I respond in the moment based on, will going right or going left get me closer to my goal? Whereas if I'm just rooted in the 13-week transactional strategy, I'm reactive to those things that are coming up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about the opposite example. I'm your client, and I'm very specific about my life goal, and I explain you that in 5 years I want to, be a successful entrepreneur with this and this, size of the company, results. How do you help them to convert that life goal to daily routines and habits?
So that's where I translate it from results to a way of being. What I talk about with most people that I coach is what's the way of being that would result in what you want. So many people look at, I want to be successful in my business. So I look at it from a level of, well, I have to do this and I have to accomplish that. And, then the next thing after that, and we scaffold those results on top of each other instead of saying, what is the way of being that would result in doing that? And it makes it immensely easier to know, if this is my business goal, if my goal is to have a successful launch, then how I get to behave with other people and interact with other people is based in that success, the image of success. So I start them with, all right, so what does successful business look like to you? And give me all five senses. What's it look like? What's it smell like? What's, like if you want to be in the corner office with a leather seat, smell the leather seat. What do you feel? What other kinds of relationships are you going to be involved in? So get me a whole picture of what that looks like. And then the next question is, so how do you have to be behaving? How do you have to be interacting with other people such that that picture comes true? And if we stand in the picture and start acting and being like that, it's easier. I'll give you a real simple, personal example. If one wants to lose 20 pounds, let's say I'm a big guy. So let's say I weigh 220 and I don't, but I'm close to it. And let's say I want to weigh 200. All right. So most people will say, I want to lose 20 pounds. And so what their anchor is I weigh 220 and tomorrow I weigh myself and I'm 219. So I've lost 1 pound, but my brain is still anchored on 220. I've lost 1 pound from 220. Instead, what we do is we say, so what does a 200-pound man look like, think like, eat like, exercise like, walk like, talk like, what is it? And if you start embodying the ways of being of a 200-pound person as opposed to a 220-pound person, you anchor your thoughts there. So today I lose a pound and I'm one step closer to my goal. And what happens is that the distance away from your anchor is equal to the amount of tension that will draw you to it. So if my anchor is at 200, I'm going to be drawn there much faster because I'm acting and thinking and being like that. If, on the other hand, my anchor is 220 and I'm losing a pound and losing another pound and losing another pound, I'm increasing the tension away from my anchor and eventually just snap back to it. That's why so many people take off the weight, but they snap back to their anchor. Right. So that's what we do in coaching is we anchor in the vision of the future and the ways of being of the future. And that pulls us toward it much faster.
Absolutely. I agree. I define it as shifting the identity of a coachee. And,
I can buy that. Yeah.
Yuka, if you look at this from Eastern point of view, would you add anything to defining a life goal? How does it work in your country?
Life vision, life goal, because I hear lots of people talking about ikigai. Ikigai is the word expressing the something meaningful to live. That what it means.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be a purpose or goal, but something small that you're looking forward to seeing your granddaughter's face or smile next day, the day after, that can be a ikigai. So the grandparents live longer, you know, and they take care of themselves. Like Kris said before, so that they behave, that the vision counts, right? So that's the Japanese way of operating or living, and usually we don't lose this ikigai forever. I mean, as long as we live, we kind of have to have some kind of um, something to look forward to, or something that I like to be doing or seeing, or things like this.
Yeah, and it can be anything. I saw a great movie about the famous sushi master from Japan. And I don't know how old he was, maybe 80, 90. And
Uh-huh.
he was still, going to work. And he was so precise with the process of making sushi. And I was amazed. Can you maybe share, if it's not too personal, what's your ikigai, Yuka? What do you focus every single day on?
You know, I had this vision, life vision,
Mhm.
from my childhood. I don't know where it came from, but I was always seeing and dreaming and thinking that I was going to be living in a foreign country.
Mhm.
And being a Japanese, foreign country meant the USA, you know, because of the history, we have lots of US programs like TV programs or US products, lots of things. So as a child, I was dreaming of living in a foreign country in the USA.
Mhm.
Somehow, it was my motivation to keep on working, meaning studying and studying and going through the exams and going through the a little, you know, difficult things. Not so much because I was young. And
Mhm.
I finally um, realized that I was living in a foreign country. And it happened very quickly. I was out of the country when I was 22 years old. So I know that kind of vision that we have within us, and that we know that it's ours, works really well. It doesn't work when somebody put it in front of you, or you just saying because people are saying, or you just think that this is it, and you just really have to be emotionally connected with that vision.
Mhm. Mhm.
Otherwise it don't happen. And ikigai is the same. You can say anything, but if you don't feel it, it doesn't work. And in the same way, that is it really, really important to get there, just attaining it? No, because our life is so long, we have to enjoy it. You know, that part, the Japanese people, I think they fail because we have a culture of sacrifice and suffering,
Mhm.
and we forget about enjoying the process of getting to the goal. And this is where I am now. I'm unlearning what I'm imprinted in Japan, to really try to enjoy the process of getting to my next milestone. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
so that's what I think.
Okay,
You know,
thank.
Yuka, that reminds me, and I don't know who to attribute the saying to, but there's a saying that goes, "Don't teach people how to build ships, teach them to have a longing for the sea,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
and they'll build all the ships they need."
Yeah.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So when you have a business goal like that, it's really important to have a kind of the reason why. It's not about why of Simon Sinek, because maybe you don't have the big vision. Maybe it's a small vision, but if somebody is connected to that vision and you can set the goal coming from that, the way I work is have a work with 3 years vision and then set a goal like outcome goal with number and date attached like 3 years, and then I work backward 3 years, 1 year goal, then the quarter what I have to achieve, and the project, then what are the project I have to do, and the project I can't do too much, too many projects, so which one I have to select and why? Because time, money, and effort or people, you really need to think how much resources I can use, so you really have to think that way and work always backward from vision, goal, project, then maybe task and processes, and then you have weekly plan. That's how I work, and it works, and the goal can be inevitable, more or less.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And I'm using something similar. And also and sometimes we are stuck, we are in low energy and we need some extra power. And for example, I have some visual aid that I defined my life goal, my vision, and that's changing the world through empowering leaders. And suddenly I feel some special source of energy that comes to my body, because I'm changing the world, but it's not actually doing it, but it's through doing some specific activity like recording this interview with you. Kris, maybe do you have some other special aids, or how to help people to get the power from their life goal, North Star, and how to use it every day, because sometimes we feel really low and we need some extra help.
Feelings are interesting, critters to deal with, and we do ebb and flow. We do have highs and lows, and that's not a bad thing. That's a normal thing. But with respect to kind of career planning and career pathing, if you think of like your life purpose or your goal out there, and draw a string between your goal and where you are now, it's a straight line. But life isn't a straight line, so we kind of zigzag back and forth to the right and to the left of that center line. And the center line feels good, so we go off this way, and it feels, this isn't right. This isn't. And we kind of zig back the other way, and all of a sudden we cross that center line, and there's a spark. There's a flash of, this feels really good. And then we kind of veer off to the left, and then we zigzag back into the right, and we cross that center line, and we go, bam, that feels good again. And so what I do with people is I get them to realize that life path is a zigzag, and say, let's identify the times when you hit that flash point, that center line that felt really charging. What were they? What were you doing there? What stage in life were you at? Identify those kinds of things, and then let's scrape those all together into a pile and say, what does that mean, and what does that look like? Because that's probably what your center line is, and probably the path that you're trying to get on, that would keep you more juiced up. But to think that we're juiced up and 100% go every day is it's a myth. We have experiences, we have thoughts, we have brains that think and project and do all kinds of things, and those thoughts cause us to feel. And sometimes we're just going to feel down because we're not on our path. Sometimes we're going to feel down because of life events that happened. You know, I don't want to feel up and positive and juiced up if my best friend just died. You know, that's not the right feeling. That's not healthy, right? The healthy feeling is to feel sad and grieving, and you know, in the question of what do I do with this love that I used to project onto another person who's no longer there. I feel that's the emptiness that I feel. So that's the appropriate feeling. So I'm not saying that if we find our center line that we'll feel happy and joyful and you know, like go skipping along into the sunset every day. No, we're humans and we have a range of emotions, you know, good and bad, and sometimes there are even peak experiences that are even beyond the goal line or whatever. But to find that sense of what does juice me up will help you be able to draw on that on a daily basis.
Yeah, and maybe experience those moments more often.
Yeah, maybe. Right.
Okay, that was a great analogy, and I will definitely remember that. Maybe one last question. Do you have, can you recommend maybe some source of a good inspiration for people who are interested in this topic and who need help to define and work with life vision?
Yuka, do you want to try that one?
Good question, because I don't think um, I don't think reading is going to resolve this. I don't think watching lots of videos would resolve this. Maybe you get inspiration, but maybe you need to be talking to the people you can trust and be 100% honest and just talking out, and maybe writing something. I mean, writing is a thinking process.
Journaling.
So yeah, from there maybe you can get something. But as I said, the vision can be very, very small. You don't have to put a big one like I'm gonna be a millionaire in 5 years. You can say, well, I'm going to be okay with my spending next year. That is a small but a vision, you know. So I mean, talking about really like business like vision. So I don't think you have to struggle. I mean, there is a big talk about we have to set a vision. Are we do we have to? If you are not sure, talking and writing and doing something will clarify a little bit, because thinking doesn't do anything. When you put actions, maybe you can see a little bit more, then a little bit more. Take one step, another step, another step. Maybe you can clarify it.
I like it.
Yeah, I that's a great answer, Yuka, because I think what you're talking about is the difference between internal and external.
Yes.
You know, that I can watch motivational videos all day long, and they do inspire me, but the shelf life of that inspiration is maybe 24 hours in, you know, the half life, and then it's half that again in another 24 hours, and it you know, it doesn't last because it's somebody else's inspiration on me. And what you're talking about, journaling and paying attention and being present to your life, allows you the focus to do the internal work, you know, that and I agree with you 100%. You know, if you only start with mini goals, you know, like and by the way, I don't think seeing the smile of my grandchild is a mini goal. I think because what it would drive me to do is to stay healthy and stay vibrant so that I am there to see that child's smile. in the future.
Yeah.
But, but doing the inner work of journaling and paying attention and really focusing on being present and what am I experiencing now in my experience? So often we think of we have an experience and then we say, oh, that was wonderful. That was this kind of, we immediately intellectualize about the experience instead of experiencing our experience. That process of experiencing the present is really a greater teacher. So, like I agree with you when you say, like being in action and being present to your actions will teach you internally what that guidance system is that you want to have in your life. And that's a great way to get to what your motivation is, what inspires you. I can be inspired by a budding flower, and just be amazed at its unfolding, as much as I can be inspired by a motivational speaker, juicing me up or whatever. I think the former is much more inspiring to me.
And taking actions, at least that this is what I don't want.
Right.
That is good as well.
Yeah. Am I right of that center line or left of that center line? When I take action, I feel that, like where I'm off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Guys, I wish we have more time to discuss this topic. So thank you so much for sharing your insights. If any one of you listening, if you have any question to Yuka, me, or Kris, just mention that below in comments and we will try to answer. So thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
And see you next time. Bye-bye.